Welcome all of you. Today we are going to discuss the topic boundary conditions in the third unit. Actually our third unit is behavior of conductors and dielectrics. In our previous lectures we have seen what is meant by a conductor, what is meant by a dielectric and what are its properties and how to derive the relation between current and current density and current density and volume charge density rho v. All those relations we have derived in our previous classes. Now we are going to enter into the next topic, that is boundary conditions between two mediums. So how to express those boundary conditions, how to derive them, we are going to learn in this unit. So here in this particular lecture you will be able to understand what are the properties of conductors and dielectrics. Already we have seen what is meant by conductor, what is meant by dielectric in our previous sessions. Just we are going to revise their properties, that's all. Next, we are going to see in detail about the derivation of boundary conditions between a conductor and free space, conductor and dielectric, and two-bit perfect dielectrics. We are going to derive those boundary conditions. Okay. So, what is meant by a conductor? Already we have seen that a material which will allow the free flow of electrons. A material which will allow the free flow of electrons or current is called as conductor. Okay. There will be number of free electrons which are available in that conductor. For example, copper or aluminum, like that we can take. So, if you apply some voltage or potential, those free electrons will move in random direction and will constitute to the flow of currents. Okay. Now, what are the properties of those conductors? While studying the properties, first we are going to discuss the properties which are applicable for deriving boundary conditions in this particular unit. Okay. So, up to here the properties of conductors are: under static conditions, no charge and no electric field can exist within the conducting material. That means inside the conductor you will not have any charge or you will not have any electric field E. That is only inside the conductor. And this assumption is only up to the derivations which are followed in this unit. Okay, while deriving the boundary conditions. And next, within the conductor, the charge density is 0. As we are saying that there is no charge inside the conductor, your charge density will be equal to 0. Okay. Next, conductivity of an ideal conductor is infinite. That means conductivity means the nature to allow the current. The conductivity of an ideal conductor, that means perfect conductor, is very high. We can say it as infinite. Next, the conductor surface is an equipotential surface. Here we are saying that inside the conductor there is no charge or there is no electric field. Every charge and all the charge densities is only concentrated on the surface of the conductor. That's why the surface of the conductor is an equipotential surface. We have seen what is meant by equipotential surface in our previous sessions. That means if we select number of points in an electric field and if all those points are having same electric potential, then that surface is called as equipotential surface. Okay. So the surface of your conductor which you are considering here has equipotential surface. Okay. Next, charge can exist only on the conductor surface, giving rise to surface charge density. As we are saying that there is no charge inside the conductor, we are assuming that the total charge is concentrated only on the surface of the conductor. And hence, here we will not talk about volume charge density, but we will talk only about surface charge density rho s, because here our assumption is that the total charge is concentrated only on the surface of the conductor. So up to this unit, the properties of the conductors are like this. Next, we have also seen what is meant by dielectric and all those derivations in our previous sessions. Now just we will revise the properties of the dielectrics. So we generally defined in our previous class that dielectric is similar to insulator. It will not have any free electrons. Those electrons or charges are bounded by some finite forces. That means inside the atom of a dielectric, your charges are bounded. They can't move. With some finite amount of force, they are held tightly in a fixed position. Now, as they are bounded charges, they cannot conduct the electricity. So there is no conduction process in dielectric. It is similar to insulator only. It can't conduct electricity or electric current. Okay. Now, if you apply some electric field E bar, if you apply some electric field E bar to the dielectric, then what will happen to those bounded charges? Those bounded charges will gain some energy and they will start shifting from their positions. Actually, we said that in dielectrics, the charges are bounded. They cannot move and they can't help in current conduction process. But if you apply some electric field externally to the dielectric, then what will happen to the bounded charges? They will start moving. They will start moving in relative positions. They will move in different directions against the force, against the bounded force. Then that dielectric will also start conducting. And during that movement, when you are applying an electric field externally, and if the bounded charges are gaining some energy and if they are moving in relative positions, they are shifting from their relative positions, during that process dipoles will be formed, electric dipoles. What is meant by dipole? If there are two charges which are of same magnitude and they are separated by some distance d, then that set will constitute a dipole. Here, during this application of external electric field to the dielectric, the charges, when they are shifting from their position, positive charges will move in this direction and negative charges will move in opposite direction. During that process, dipoles will be formed. The formation of dipoles in this dielectric is called as polarization. Okay, polarization. Due to this polarization only, a dielectric is also able to store some energy inside it. Okay, and due to this polarization only, the flux density is increased in the dielectrics, because in our previous class we have derived that the total electric flux density d bar. So we have derived that d bar is equal to epsilon naught into E bar plus the amount of polarization P bar. Okay. So because of this polarization, what is happening? Your total flux density of the dielectric is also increased by amount of polarization P. Okay. And also due to this polarization, the volume charge density occurs inside the dielectric. There will be some rho v, volume charge density, inside the dielectric, and on the surface of the dielectric, you will be having some surface charge density, rho s. Okay, these are the properties of dielectrics up to this unit for deriving the boundary conditions. Next we will see what is meant by dielectric strength. Okay, dielectric strength is the electrical strength of an insulating material. Dielectric strength is defined as the electrical strength of an insulating material. That means we are saying that in dielectric there are some bounded charges, they cannot move, they are bounded by some forces, finite forces, and they cannot move and they cannot allow the current to flow through it. But if you apply some external electric field, what is happening? Those bounded charges are moving against the forces and they start conducting electricity. Okay. So at that particular point where we are applying the electric field E, at some point what will happen? The insulating properties of your insulator will break down. That means those charges which are bounded will gain some energy and start shifting from their positions. That means you can say that the insulating property of your dielectric is break it down. That is called as dielectric breakdown. Okay. Whenever you are applying some external electric field intensity E bar, then what will happen? The charges will gain some energy, and during that energy, due to that energy, what will happen? They are shifting from their relative positions and they constitute to form dipoles and current is being conducted. That point where the dielectric is losing its insulating property, that property is called as breakdown, dielectric breakdown. Okay, that is dielectric breakdown. Now dielectric strength is measured as the maximum voltage required to produce dielectric breakdown through a material. That means whatever the voltage you are applying to that dielectric, that voltage should be enough to create breakdown in the dielectric. That means at that particular voltage, what will happen? The dielectric will lose its insulating properties and it will also start conducting. So that particular strength is called as dielectric strength. So let us revise this again. Dielectric strength is measured as the maximum voltage required to produce a dielectric breakdown through a material. Okay, and it is expressed in volts per unit thickness, dielectric strength. And if the dielectric strength of the dielectric is more, then what is the advantage? Its insulating properties will be more. If the dielectric strength is less, what will happen? Its insulating strength will be somewhat less. Next, we are going for boundary conditions. Why we should study these boundary conditions means, suppose if you take a capacitor, how will be your capacitor? You will be having a positive plate and a negative plate separated by some dielectric. That means it will act as insulator. Now you can consider this border, you can consider this boundary between your dielectric and conductor. So if you know the conditions at this border or boundary between the dielectric and the conductor, then you can design this capacitor very efficiently so that it can operate very efficiently. So that's why we need to study the boundary conditions. Okay, so when electric field passes from one medium to another medium, when electric field passes from one medium to another medium, that means here you can see from dielectric to conductor, when electric field passes from one medium to another medium, it is necessary to study the conditions at the boundary between the two mediums. That means exactly at the boundary between this conductor and dielectric, you need to study what are the conditions it is showing at that boundary, so that you can design this capacitor or any other equipment very efficiently. Okay, so the conditions at this boundary, the conditions at this boundary are called as boundary conditions. Now during the derivation of these boundary conditions, we need to make some assumptions. Already we have defined those assumptions in the properties of conductors and dielectrics. Okay, so for those, what are the conditions means, the electric field E bar, and the flux density D bar, and the volume charge density. Volume charge density means rho v. Volume charge density rho v inside the conductor are 0. Okay, already we have defined these properties in the previous slide, that is properties of conductors. Here we are assuming that E bar, D bar and rho v inside the conductor are 0. That means inside the conductor you are not having any E or D or charge density rho v. Only we are assuming that the charge appears only on the surface of the conductor, that's all. So as inside the conductor this E and D are assumed as 0, what will happen to the charge density inside the conductor? Within the conductor the charge density is equal to 0. Okay, and we are assuming that the charge appears only on the surface of the conductor. We are assuming that the charge appears only on the surface of the conductor and it has only surface charge density rho s. We will be having only rho s in this particular derivation. We will not have rho v here. Okay, so these are the assumptions. E bar and D bar inside the conductor are 0, rho v inside the conductor is 0, and the charge is assumed to be concentrated only on the surface of the conductor. That means it has only surface charge density rho s. That's all. Okay, so this is the introduction about the boundary conditions. Now we need to derive the boundary conditions for 3 cases. That is boundary conditions between a conductor and free space, boundary condition between a conductor and dielectric, and boundary conditions between 2 perfect dielectrics. So let us go to the first case, that is boundary condition between a conductor and free space.